ever sat down to build a budget with your partner, and within 10 minutes, you're both feeling frustrated and misunderstood, wondering, how can we be this far apart when we're supposed to be on the same page? It's not just about the money or spending, it's about how we think, feel, and value money differently. And a lot of that boils down to something called gender intelligence. Well, welcome to Mars Venus Coaching. I am your gender intelligence coach, Clay Smith. And in today's episode, we're going to take a look at how men and women approach finances and budgeting from two different starting points, and why it's not necessarily a problem to fix, but a strength to understand. This episode will provide you with a practical, step by step guide for how to build a budget together. We're going to create a system that honors both a man and woman's perspective, needs, and priorities, including spending, savings, income, goals, and cash flow, while actually bringing you towards financial intimacy instead of pulling you apart. The first distinction that we need to make is that men and women approach finances from two different perspectives. Men often budget for protection, security, control, or achievement. Their mindset is centered around, am I winning? Am I getting ahead? Men tend to approach budgeting like a scoreboard or an objective list of goals. They zero in on those top priorities like debt reduction, investment growth, or savings goals. Emotionally, a man views a budget as a tool to measure success or failure. And if they're not meeting the numbers, they may shut down or become defensive when communicating with their partner about finances. Men predominantly experience financial stress when they feel like a failure or they're not providing enough. Women, on the other hand, often budget for connection, security, and overall well being. Their mindset is centered around, are we okay? Women tend to look at a budget as a relationship support system. They look at overall well being, stability, and how money decisions impact the family and the home as a whole. Emotionally, they view a budget as a way to feel safe, cared for, and aligned with their partner. Their stress triggers would be feeling unheard, micromanaged, or worried that their needs are being dismissed. Here are some practical differences in the way that men and women handle these approaches, centered around managing money and financial goals. When it comes to goal setting, the male approach is typically competitive or metric driven, while the female approach tends to focus more on collaboration and maybe more values based. When it comes to spending, a common male approach would be functional or reward oriented, while a female approach may be quality of life driven. When it comes to savings, men tend to think about large projected future events, bulking up that investment account, where a woman values quality of life and peace of mind. When it comes to the typical conflict response around finances, men generally want to pull away or shut down, while a woman feels the need to want to talk about and reconnect. And when it comes to defining financial success, men view it as hitting those goals, while a woman wants to feel safe and secure and being in sync with her partner. Are you starting to pick up on any patterns here? These different approaches aren't about right and wrong. They're about understanding one another. Men and women are often driven by different questions when they look at the same spreadsheet. A man might ask, "What's the ROI on this?" A woman might ask, "How does this support our life right now?" A shared budget requires honoring both perspectives. The strategic side of what are we building, and the emotional side of what do we need to feel good about this. And as we're starting to see, men and women value different things when it comes to budgeting. Examples would include prioritizing an emergency fund versus investing, saving for that home upgrade versus paying off all the credit card debt. The problem is assuming that my way is the right way. That's why it's essential for a relationship for couples to adopt a values based budget where each partner can align themselves financially with their significant other. When both partners feel seen, budgeting becomes less of a battle and more of a bond. Budgeting isn't just about the numbers, it's about vision, trust, and accountability. It all boils down to this: couples with shared financial goals fight less and connect more. Dr. Gail Matthews, psychology professor at the University of California, did a famous study about goals and follow through. They found that people who wrote down their goals were 42% more likely to accomplish those goals as opposed to those who just thought about them. Now, when accountability is added into the mix, like sharing your goal with someone, having them regularly check in on you from time to time, that success rate jumps to 76%. Accountability is the catalyst towards lasting change. So, budgeting as a couple promotes teamwork over blame. So, how do we build a budget together? I think the first thing to consider is setting up that shared vision. Take a moment, ask one another, what does financial peace look like for us? Make a list of your values. Each person write down their top 3, 4, 5 things that they care most about when it comes to managing the money. Create a joint projected budget. Factor in estimated income and prioritize your spending together. Sit down with your partner with a pen and paper and go through each category, realistically deciding what you're going to spend in each associated category. This budgeting exercise falls in line with a zero based budgeting system where every dollar has a job. It's wise to spend your money on paper first before spending it in real life. I want to provide you with a list of 10 categories that you can take a moment to go through in creating your projected budget. The first one is to consider your projected income. Look at your paychecks after taxes. Consider if you're receiving funds from other side hustles, part time jobs, dividends, perhaps a rental. Add all of your projected income that you think you're going to make in the next month. Next, consider those fixed expenses. Add to your budget your rent or mortgage, your utilities. What are you paying in electricity, in gas, in water, in trash? Next, add in your insurance. What's your car insurance, your home insurance, renter's insurance, life insurance? Put that on the budget. Think about, are we paying a car payment? Pop that on there. Compile all of your streaming memberships. Put that number on your budget. Factor in what you're paying for internet or your phone bill. Next, consider the variable expenses. This would be groceries, gas and transportation, eating out, entertainment, personal money or fun money if as it were. Think about housewares, clothing, haircuts, nails, massage. Think about what you're going to need to spend on substance spending or indulgences. Things like alcohol, weed, vaping, cigarettes. Next, consider your debt payments. When you're putting your projected budget together, look in the upcoming month to say, what do we have to spend on debt repayment? Credit card payments, paying back student loans, or any other personal loans. Next, consider your savings goals. Are you growing that emergency fund? Do you have a long term savings account that you're throwing a little bit of money in each month to one day provide that down payment for your first time home? Maybe you have a short term savings account the two of you are padding to prepare for the upcoming holiday or that trip you want to go on. Next, consider any upcoming events. When you look at the month to come, are there any scheduled events that you both need to agree on how much to spend for that? Or are there any extracurricular activities for the kids? Next, consider your personal development investments. How much do you invest in yourself on coaching, therapy, books, retreats, any skill building expense? Next, what are you paying for in gifts, tithing, or charities? Looking at the month ahead, think about, is there any birthdays or events that we need to purchase gifts? Is Christmas right around the corner? Do we regularly tithe to a church or a charity? Are we financially supporting anyone or a particular cause? Write it on your projected budget. Next, consider business expenses that still come out of the personal checking account. Things like marketing, office supplies, or any equipment needed that you have to pay for in that month. And lastly, consider a little unexpected spending. This just is going to go for anything that you didn't expect to have to spend money on in that month. It's what's known as a little wiggle room. Now go through each one of these 10 categories and decide together how much you're going to spend in the upcoming month. Factor in your projected income and make sure you're living below your means. Write down what you will spend in each category. Make sure you get on the same page by discussing those variable expenses, like the gas and the groceries and the fun money. Talk about how much each person defines as too much. Okay, hopefully you just took a moment, went through, and created a detailed, organized, agreed upon projected budget for the upcoming month. Now, as Tony Robbins says, awareness in itself is not enough. If it were, we'd all be skinny, rich, and happy. Now that we know what to do, we've got to make sure we do it. This is going to require a weekly meeting with your partner, catching up the budget to keep things on track. Here are the foremost common systems of budgeting based off of how people prefer to track and measure and manage their finances on a regular basis. I want to provide them for you here on this video, and along with each description, I want to talk about maybe one or two pros and cons so you can have it all mapped out and decide together which budgeting system is going to meet your needs. So the first one is your Google spreadsheet, Excel, Microsoft Word, whatever system, some type of a spreadsheet graph type of thing. This is custom made. It's flexible. You create and control your categories, your formulas, your layout. Some pros would be it's free or certainly low cost, highly customizable. It's great for people who love numbers and do it yourself setups. However, some cons would be time consuming, especially in the beginning learning curve phase. And it requires some comfortability with math and regular updates. The second approach to budgeting would be apps. These are automated, they're very user friendly. Apps like Mint, Every Dollar, Rocket Money, or The Good Budget. They sync with your accounts and help you measure your spending in real time. Some pros would be that they're easy to set up and maintain. They provide real time syncing with each of your accounts. And many offer you reminders and reports for overspending and tracking your expenditure trends. Some cons would be it's a little time consuming in the beginning in that learning curve phase, and some of these apps struggle with assigning spending to a particular category. Let me give you an example. Let's say you went to Walmart and threw $400 down the drain. Now, a typical budgeting app might go, oh yeah, Walmart, grocery store. It would just take that whole purchase, throw it in the grocery tab. Okay, you got groceries there, but you also spent $100 on gifts for somebody's upcoming birthday that month. You also spent some money on housewares and getting that rug that you don't really need or buying another wreath that you have too many of. Some of these apps, if you're not intentional, it'll just kind of group certain purchases in the categories that aren't meant to be there. The third approach is the pen and paper method. Do you remember that papyrus stuff? It was like white and you had these like long things that you like wrote things down on? That. Now, listen, before you dog it, there are some serious pros of using a printed budget planner, a notebook, a piece of paper. Systems like Clever Fox or the Budget Mom. Some pros would be it's tangible, it's visible. It creates awareness because you're manually writing in your expenses. It's great for intentional tracking. It reinforces spending habits because you're writing down your goals. Remember, if you want to bump your success rate up, just writing down that goal bumps it up to 46% success rate. Now, we're going to talk about some cons. Some manual entry is required. But is that necessarily a bad thing? Real time tracking is required, and you're gonna have to do some math and adding up things. It can be harder to adjust or analyze over time, but listen, aren't you glad you have those figure out skills? The fourth system is a envelope system. I think we've all heard of this budgeting system from Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace course. It's a categories spending control system. Each category has its own envelope of cash or a digital equivalency to prevent overspending. Now, it's great for limiting impulse spending. If I put $500 in my grocery envelope and I get halfway into my month and I have $25 left, I need to calm down. Maybe that's an opportunity for the rest of that month to go through some of that beans and rice that I've had sitting in my pantry for the last 3 years. It's simple and effective for variable expenses. However, it is a little bit less practical in a cashless society, and it can be tedious to maintain. Going to an ATM, getting out the specific cash amounts, putting it in your envelope. But you might be thinking, okay, uh, all four of these systems sound great. What is the best method? Listen, it doesn't matter what system you choose as long as you use it. Regardless of which budgeting method that is going to work for you, I want you to consider these 6 core values or key functions to ask yourself if a system that you choose is working with you to get you clarity and couple alignment. First and foremost, does your system promote spending awareness? Do you know where your money is going? Whether that's a spreadsheet, an app, a notebook, and pen, you should be able to tell me how much you spent in each associated category on a monthly basis. And here's why that matters: awareness is powerful. You can't improve what you don't track or measure. Two, does your system promote category clarity? Do you know what you want and need to spend in each area? Your system should be able to specifically tell you the amounts allocated to each category, like groceries, bills, debt payments, savings accounts. At any time, you should be able to calculate this what you spent last month in each category. Just adding up all of your Walmart receipts is not an accurate description of your grocery expenses for the previous month. And here's why that matters: this habit establishes boundaries that will help you prevent overspending. Three, does your system promote goal alignment with your partner? Is your budget helping you reach your goals together? Whether that's saving for that house, paying down those credit cards, or just living below your means. Your budget should help you track your progress towards those priorities. And here's why that matters: without goals, a budget can feel restrictive rather than empowering. Four, does your budget promote real time tracking? Do you know where you stand right now? The best system offers those live updates, weekly reviews to help you adjust as needed. And here's why that matters: we're not budgeting for the past, we're taking action now and choosing better choices for today and tomorrow. Five, does your system promote trend awareness? Does your system help you see your weekly, monthly, yearly spending habits? Is it able to help you track your trends and behaviors? Things that we can do to spot those leaks in the budget and change some behaviors to get you better results? Here's why that matters: trends help you determine and plan more wisely, more long term. And lastly, does your system help you promote couple collaboration? Does your budget invite shared input from both of you? Whether that's a shared spreadsheet, an app where you both have that login information to, or just that weekly check in habit to make sure both of you have visibility and voice. And here's why that matters: shared ownership leads to a stronger partnership with fewer conflicts. So, how do you know what system's going to work best for you? The most effective budgeting plan is the one you actually use. So, play around with different types, find a system that fits both of your needs. Now, along with the shared system, it's also essential to take time to knowing the when on certain purchases. This is where cash flow really comes into consideration in regards to the budgeting process. Cash flow is just basically considering the income you're bringing in compared to the balance you have in your account compared to the expenses that are scheduled to go out. We all have purchases that we need to make on a regular basis that aren't necessarily a fixed expense in the budget. But by strategically deciding the when those purchases are going to be made, you can prevent from going negative in your account. You can prevent stressing your partner out by seeing a negative balance or just avoiding setbacks towards those shared financial goals. I recommend taking all of your bills and adding them to a calendar. The amount each bill is due and when it's due, whether that's you have to call and make the payment on that day or it's already scheduled to come out of your account automatically. Then add your paychecks, the amount you're going to get paid, the dates you're going to get paid on, and that right there becomes your cash flow calendar. Then you're going to take a look at the next 7 days, add up your projected income along with the cash you have in your account, subtract the bills that are scheduled to come out of that week, and that number will be your cash flow amount for the upcoming week. Then you factor in any major events or large purchases that you need to make in those next 1 to 2 weeks. So you're considering your cash flow is going to give you a heads up as to when to make that extra credit card payment or how much to factor in for that upcoming holiday or event. This is going to eliminate those expense surprises from sabotaging your success together. It's wise to approach a budget from a lens of financial intimacy in a relationship with a significant other. Consider changing that yours and mine mentality to more of an ours mentality. When my wife and I first got married and combined, moved in, all of that stuff, she previously came from a relationship where they were very matchy with the finances. And their things, quite honestly. It was, this is my cat, this is your cat. This is my car, this is your car. This is my bill, this is your bill. To move away from that yours and mine mentality, we decided to officially eliminate all of that yours and mine by going with an ours, even to the subtleties of our cars. I told her, I said, babe, instead of your car and my car, how about just name our cars? Pick a name. I don't care. And then when we're talking about them, like, oh, hey, your car needs a car wash or my car needs an oil change, we're creating oneness by eliminating that mine and yours mentality. So she named her car Yoda and named mine Clyde. So if we were planning out our budget and going, oh, hey, Clyde needs an oil change this week, let's put it on our cash flow calendar. That little shift just in language helped us move from that financial roommate dynamic to building true emotional intimacy with one another. It marked a starting of a journey together towards financial oneness. With financial oneness, budgeting becomes more effective in your relationship. Go see my earlier episode entitled Financial Intimacy. If you'd like to take your relationship to a new level through emulating financial oneness in your relationship with your partner. Stephen Covey says, to know and not to do is not to know. This quote emphasizes the true understanding that is mirrored in action without knowledge. Just because you have that awareness, but you don't follow through, it loses its power. It's particularly powerful in budgeting when couples know where they stand and knowing what to do, but now it's time to apply those principles. Just because you have your projected budget, you picked your system, you know what you need to do, now we have to get off our butt and put those things into practice. So we're going to shift gears real quick to take a look at 9 essential steps to put some of these insights into practice in building your budget together. So first and foremost, pick a weekly check-in time. Set up a reoccurring check-in for a short money talk, 15 to 20 minutes. Keep it casual. Go out for coffee with your partner, schedule it after dinner, just so it feels more like teamwork and not tension. If you'd like to develop a solid habit of getting together with your partner to discuss more of the administrative side of life and communicating those things more clearly, go see my previous episode on the weekly admin hour. It just really helps create an infrastructure for getting on the same page. 2. Review your spending together. Look back at your accounts to see what was spent in the last week. Each transaction made needs to be included in your budget or allocated on your app. Do your best to avoid blame. The goal is awareness, not guilt. 3. Track against your budget. Compare your actual spending to each category. Ask one another, are we on track or do we need to adjust some things? Compare your projected budget with your actual budget. At the end of each month, you need to add up your spending and compare it with what you said you were going to spend. Then begin a projected budget for the next month. Factor in any changes that need to be made in light of your last month's insights. 4. Celebrate your wins. Acknowledge progress. Hey, this month we lived below our means. We didn't put anything on a credit card. Or, hey, we added $200 to our savings account. Yes. Or, we avoided that impulse buy. Remember, encouraging behaviors keeps that momentum going. 5. Keep an eye on those darn subscriptions. 99% of the couples that I coach on a regular basis, the habit or the trend that I see is those monthly subscriptions pile up quickly. They sign up for some gimmick, a 3 months, no fee, whatever, free bull crap, and before you know it, they're getting charged $9.99 each month, and it's 8 months later, and they realize, why are we paying? What are we even paying for? So I encourage you to write down each subscription that you have just to make sure that, yes, in fact, all of these subscriptions, whether they're online streaming or entertaining, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, all of that, make sure we're writing it down to actually go, okay, this is what we want to stay on our budget. This kind of creates, they say the average home, the average household wastes $32.84 per month on these unused subscriptions, adding up to nearly $395 a year. So just go through the emotional pain of writing down your subscriptions and the associated cost to see if you both actually use the app or the streaming service. And if month after month the answer is no, it is time to throw it in the trash. 6. Communicate about upcoming events, factoring in your cash flow. Preview any unusual one-time purchases, gifts, events, a major house repair, and ask one another, is anything coming up this month that we need to financially plan for? Use the shared system. Whether that's the spreadsheet, the app, the notebook, use a system that you'll both contribute towards. Make sure you're both involved. If he's really tech savvy and he wants to use the app, but she doesn't even know the username or password, she's not going to have access or visibility or voice, and it's not going to work. Practice grace, not perfection. This will be a on and off type of thing, right? This isn't just a perfect process. Accidents happen, right? Stay flexible, curious, and kind to one another as you adjust your budget. And then make sure you're aligning yourself with those shared goals. Remember each other considering your budget. What were those goals that you started in the beginning? Was it financial peace? Was it saving for that future trip? Was it paying off all of your debt? Was it financial freedom? Shared purpose strengthens oneness. So let's bring this all together. Building a budget with your partner isn't just about the dollars and cents. It's about connection, communication, and understanding. And as we've seen today, men and women approach money from two different emotional and psychological starting points. Men want to ask, are we winning? Women are going to ask, are we okay? Both questions matter. That's the that's the idea of gender intelligence. Recognizing that your partner's financial mentality isn't a flaw to fix. It's a perspective to honor. It's not about that they're wrong. It is what it is. When you can both see and you feel heard and valued and understood in how you view money, budgeting stops being a source of tension and becomes a shared structure for trust and teamwork. Remember, couples who prioritize clear communication and transparency and accountability around money build more than just a budget. They build trust, oneness, and long term financial intimacy. From the practical tools like a little cash flow calendar or a budgeting app or those weekly check ins to the emotional tools of grace, empathy, and shared vision. The objective is the same: to go from a me versus you mentality to financial oneness. And when you learn to communicate the language of money and the way that both partners feel heard and understood, you don't just improve your finances, you deepen your bond. So I highly recommend that you implement this strategy in your relationship with your significant other. If you'd like to get a little clarity on how you can either build a budget together or how you can get your partner on the same page as you financially, feel free to click the link in the description box below. Set up a complimentary call with me. I'd love to give you some clarity on how you can move towards that financial intimacy. Also, if you've got value from our episode today, please click that like button, hit the subscribe bell. On a monthly basis, I send out a relationship tool centered around communication and gender intelligence that will hit your inbox. And hey, if you've been implementing this strategy of financial intimacy and creating a budget together and you're noticing some success, leave your experience in the comments section below. Let's stay connected by picking your system, having your weekly check-ins, and prioritizing oneness instead of judgment. Because when couples budget with gender intelligence, they don't just spend smarter, they love smarter too.